today we're going to talk about apprenticeships.
Yes. Different forms of apprenticeships, different styles.
There's so many.
Yes.
There's so many. I did a video like on a whole chart, like breaking down all these different types. So go watch that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, you can find it. But we want to have more of a discussion about it.
Yeah.
And please write in the comments if you've tried any other kind of apprenticeships, you've looked into anything.
Your experiences with them.
Yeah.
Because you went through a very more traditional apprenticeship back when you were apprenticing. You want to kind of talk about what that experience was like and what the how it was, what the structure was and all that?
Structure.
Or lack thereof.
I had no idea what I was getting into, by the way, because I knew nothing about the tattoo industry. I had gotten a tattoo, a couple, but I knew nothing about it. I think a lot of people maybe are like me, but also a lot have an idea and are maybe nervous about approaching shops for apprenticeships. I was oblivious to that fear. I was oblivious to like,
you're just let's go get an apprenticeship.
Someone can teach me.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. What's the big deal?
Yeah. That's so funny.
I know. Well, I guess I landed in the perfect place because it was in a shop that had a great reputation, has a great reputation, and was known as like one of the top shops in the county, I think. And I had no idea about that. I thought, oh, just this lady said she maybe would teach me, but I needed to work in the shop and see how I liked it, if I even liked being in that environment, which I didn't, but I faked it and got as much info as I could. And I felt like I was I felt like I had to armor up to go in there every single day to be able to get this information.
Why did you feel like you had to like to go in there? What made it not as relaxing of an experience as you maybe thought it was going to be?
I think that there was a toughness to it.
Okay.
That I didn't feel that I could be totally myself there. I didn't feel like I could be like a girly girl there. Although I do remember wearing skirts.
Nice.
I used to wear pencil skirts a lot, and I remember wearing that, and then realized like how much of my job was cleaning.
Yeah.
I stopped wearing skirts.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to be on the floor,
outfit. Yeah,
scrubbing ink off of this.
So floor. That's interesting. So was that a big part of your apprenticeship, like cleaning?
Yeah, I learned how to clean.
Great.
Cool, I learned how to be clean and clean.
Yeah,
from my apprenticeship.
And how long of like once like you got your apprenticeship, great, I'll teach you how to tattoo. How much of that was cleaning? Like how long before you actually got to start tattooing? Like what was kind of the timeline of that?
I think it was about 6 months before I could learn to tattoo.
Before you even like touched a tattoo machine?
Yeah, I could only work in the studio like as shop help.
Okay.
For a while.
For like 6 months.
Yeah, approximately.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what just like helping people clean up and was this...
I think at that point I was just like keep cleaning and booking appointments, answering phones.
Oh, interesting.
Mopping the floor, like clean, like the basic like closing things.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And I would get paid like a little bit for a few hours of work in those evenings.
Interesting.
And then it switched into like, okay, we're going to teach her now.
Okay.
Now it's apprenticeship mode.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, cool. Well, expectations changed.
Yeah.
Instantly, and I had no idea what they expected of me. I had no idea that this was like a whole new set of rules that I figured out by like mean glares and snide comments and things like this.
Okay, great.
So I was like figuring that out.
Yeah.
And I actually was really depressed.
Okay.
I was really, really depressed.
Yeah.
And I think because I was depressing so many parts of myself.
Yeah.
And that I didn't feel like I knew what was going on and how to communicate that I didn't know or what I needed.
Yeah.
I was afraid to speak up.
Yeah.
I was quite young too. I wasn't even 25 yet.
Sure. Yeah.
I think that's at that point in my life too, I was like really nervous.
Sure.
I had so much anxiety about everything, doing something wrong all the time, and I didn't have communication skills. Like, and then growing up, like I didn't really learn much about communicating properly. So there was a lot of mistakes I made that, and ways I felt that would have, for an older person that had their stuff together and knew how to communicate well, would have had a very different experience. I definitely own the fact that I was operating in like fear mode through this whole thing.
But at the same time, I feel like going into an apprenticeship, one would hope that, especially if you're taking on a young apprentice, that there would be some sort of like structure or nurturingness in terms of like learning how to communicate and communicating to your young apprentice the rules. And I feel like especially like the unspoken rules of a tattoo shop and like dealing with a client. I mean, communication is also just a really important part of tattooing people. But yeah, so that's an interesting, that sucks. I'm sorry that happened to you.
Hey, it was such a good learning experience.
I bet. So once you like actually like started, okay, we're going to teach Justine how to tattoo now finally. What was that kind of process like?
It was like, okay, now you're going to watch.
Okay.
You're going to watch us tattoo. Don't say anything until the end of the tattoo. And this is actually something I think is really good because I like, if I have an apprentice with me during a session, I want the session to maintain this like quiet ambiance. And so if I have an apprentice being like, why is it bleeding so much? Like I'm taking notes and I'm like, or the apprentice is like asking these questions that might freak out the client.
Totally.
I was instructed to never ask a question, but to take notes or
to like respect the integrity of the actual client's appointment and everything, for sure. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of watching and then what?
A lot of watching.
Okay.
Like a lot.
Like months of watching, or what was the?
It was kind of like, definitely months, as long as they could get me to watch. I mean, it was good. I saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I also learned from 3 different female artists. So I learned 3 different styles plus the styles of all the different artists that I worked around too. Cool. And I also learned how lots of different people set up and how lots of people break down and different tools they use. And no one at that time was using anything but coil machines. So there were no pens, no rotaries, really at all. And I would scrub tubes. So I would do like a lot of the stuff hands-on to help everyone I could.
You're kind of like like a glorified assistant, really, to the whole shop.
Yeah, cool. And it was it had to be there 24/7. So because before they open, I needed to be there.
Yeah,
and be the last one to leave.
Yeah,
and that expectation, when I figured that out, I was like burning out.
Yeah,
you know,
I imagine it was a lot of time.
Then I realized that they had no end in sight for my apprenticeship to end.
Interesting.
And when I figured that out too, I was like, oh, whoa.
Yeah.
There's no intention of me ever ending this because they like
having some free labor.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Which I can understand.
Well, sure. That's lovely for them.
Yeah. Or that was like part of the trade.
Sure. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Mine was I paid and traded. It was a combo. And I worked a little bit.
Okay.
Like a couple hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I don't know how long it was, but there was like a combo of lots of different agreements and expectations and things, and it was murky and muddy and complex, and and a lot of like complex relationships in that dynamic. Such a good learning experience, and a lot of things I felt were really necessary to learning tattooing, and a lot of things I felt for me were unnecessary because of what I had gone through and just finished in art school. And that I had this style, and I had people that I knew would want this style tattooed on them, and I needed to just learn the technical stuff and get out of there and go do it. And I wasn't really supported in that. But a bit put down for the fact that I wasn't going to be doing like, or I wasn't doing like traditional stuff very well because I had literally no interest in it.
It's okay.
I had literally no interest in this. Like, why would I'm gonna do terrible in it. Because
so you were getting trained, you were getting, like, you obviously learned the technical aspects of tattooing, but then you were being trained in like more traditional, like American styles of tattooing
and lettering and like how to make something, which is really cool. I learned a lot of stuff. Like how to take any logo or image and make anything a perfect
into a
stencil,
tattoo.
Right.
Cool. Okay. And but then also got pushback for the art that you were bringing and the art education you were bringing into it. Interesting. Okay.
Like no one is gonna want that tattoo on them.
And so, or had the realization that this apprenticeship was they were just kind of hanging on to you as long as possible. How did you like?
Which could be true or not true. I just feel like that was a feeling I got, and when I felt that, it just kind of sunk me into more depression and like, oh, how much longer of this?
So how long like total was that apprenticeship?
My whole life crashed down a year in.
Okay. Cool.
And what happened was like, I was in a relationship that crumbled, and that was really important because that meant I had to find somewhere else to live, which wasn't going to be $300 a month anymore. Okay. So I couldn't afford the apprenticeship just based on that one factor. Then my car breaks down. Okay. So
it always happens. All the things happen at one time, right?
It does. It was my call to leave. Then I got swine flu. And then during that, being down for 2 whole weeks, like no antibiotics were helping me.
Oh my God.
I tried so many. And I was so sick, and I realized in that, like, it took getting so sick for me to be like, I have to quit. Because I can't. My whole body is shutting down. Everything else shut down. Now my body is. I have to listen.
Your body trying to tell you something.
So I waited until like I had like all these sores in my mouth.
Oh
like,
my
I couldn't
gosh.
eat or talk. It was like so freaking painful. And I could only like text when I knew. I was like, when I know something, I'm the person that's like, I have to tell you immediately. I can't just like linger on and And so I texted them that I was gonna finish. I'm done with this. I can't do it anymore. And then of course that was upsetting because I couldn't talk to them. So then I waited until I could talk and call, and they were very upset, which I really understand. And now I didn't understand that then, and I was like, this whole like painful thing, this like emotional painful thing that I had a lot of like upset feelings about for many years. And then I just worked privately underground. Because I didn't want to be in an environment, like in a shop environment. Until I got the guts to do it again, and I had another horrible experience.
And I feel like, I think it's interesting because I've heard horror stories about traditional tattoo apprenticeships even now. And like, you think about how that was, 15, 20 years ago or whatever. And that those kinds of experiences are still happening. And I think they're, traditionally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but traditional tattoo apprenticeships even nowadays in a traditional shop are there is a lot of this kind of trade that's going on, which I think can be great. Like you know, learn how to work in a shop, learn how to break down and set up, you know, your station and all that. But the length of time it takes, and like, you know, being in an apprenticeship for, you know, at least a year and not getting paid necessarily, or if you are being paid very little, but then the time commitment that's expected from you is like, you know, and yeah, you still got to pay your bills, you still got to pay rent, and all this stuff can be a difficult thing to navigate. And I think the thing is that can be great for some people if you really want to learn how a traditional shop works. And I think that the traditional apprenticeship and the traditional shop model is fine for some people, which is why it's been around for so long and why it still is around and all of that. And like, if that's for you, like, great, totally go do that. But I think it's not for everyone. And I think for me, especially having, like, I did not go through a traditional apprenticeship, which I'm very happy about. Like, I don't think that would have been my cup of tea. I think also being kind of, I think there is some merit to learning different tattooing styles. But at the same time, I'm kind of like how you were, like, why am I learning this if I'm never gonna tattoo this style? You know, like, why spend your time learning this style that I'm never gonna do, and instead spend time developing your style and learning how to tattoo your style and getting really good at tattooing your style, the one that you're actually going to be tattooing, I think makes more sense. And to be in an environment that's gonna like encourage that, I think is really important and all of that. So
okay, on that point,
yeah,
I know we're going to hear a lot of pushback on that, because that is the part where, are we honoring tradition? Traditional tattooing is like learning art history, right? And how can you understand and be a tattooer if you're not understanding the history of it and honoring that and respecting that art, right?
Sure.
But let's go all the way back.
Yeah.
Because if we're going to talk about history in tattooing, this goes back to tattooing with soot and fish bones.
Right.
This goes back farther than American traditional.
Way farther.
Yeah. So let's not assume that American white man traditional art is tattooing.
Is the only tattoo history that there is.
Yeah. Let's go way back.
Way back. Yeah. And tattooing being rooted really in indigenous culture and all of that, I think is, I think that's an interesting, I mean, we could talk a lot about that. And like, and honestly, like, I'm someone who doesn't like know all of the history of that. So that would be, right. And that would be an interesting thing to like research and all of that. But I think that is an important thing to keep in mind in terms of the history of tattooing. And the thing is, I totally agree, is that you should at least have some awareness of where tattooing is coming from. And like, yes, American traditional tattooing is where, like, today in America especially, obviously, is like, that is the history of tattooing. And I think that there is this misconception that steering away from that is disrespecting it, and I don't think that's the case. I think that that happened, and that style still exists. And I think that, yes, that totally, that is where we are coming from and where the world of tattooing is coming from. But I also think that world was, acknowledging that it existed and respecting that, but where it came from was a very white male dominated world. And I think moving away from that is not disrespecting that, it's taking that and evolving it into something that is a more inclusive experience. You know, like, I don't understand why, like, taking like more, you know, taking your fine art style and incorporating into tattooing is actually like, that doesn't mean we're disrespecting the history of it. You know, it's just an evolution of what tattooing is and can be. So I think that's a great point. And I think that's kind of the nature of doing something different and evolving and growing, is you're gonna get you're going to get pushback. And the thing is too, is that this, like we said, like if traditional tattooing and the traditional like studio model is for you, that's great.
Yes.
Go do that. Like go I like fully like I love that for you, you know, like go do that.
Yeah. 100%.
But I think it's just having the option of not having to do that. When that's the only option, it just narrows down the pool of people who are going to get into tattooing, you know, who are going to explore this as a medium and as an art form. And I think that's where we're coming from, is providing an alternative. If that's not your vibe, then this might be your vibe. This like encouraging a specific, if you only want to tattoo your style, then only tattoo your style. If you want to like not clean up 24/7 for, you know, months and whatever, like obviously that's something that we teach and we learn because it's an important thing to learn, but we don't have to do it. We don't like the whole free labor thing, and like, and all of that is not necessary. And so, yeah, just having this different sort of, and I think the other thing that I've heard too is, and obviously it depends on where you're going for your apprenticeship, but that alone can be a difficult thing, right? To like find a shop and a studio that aligns with you ethically and all of that, and your lifestyle and all of that. But also I've heard people who like get out of an apprenticeship and they're like, okay, the apprenticeship finished, and have to like still go learn things from other, like they didn't get a full well-rounded education out of it too, which is tough because suddenly you've committed all this time to doing this apprenticeship and like I still don't really understand hospital hygiene, or I still don't understand this or whatever. Like that's a tough thing too. And I think that's where our model is a very different, very, very, very different model than the traditional apprenticeship, because we have, you know, some big non in-person, like a virtual part of it. So, which I think is really cool. Do you want to talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit more?
well, actually, you said like 100 things that made me think of like 100 different videos. I think we should.
Yeah, I think so too. I know. Yeah.
But the fact that there's something really key I want to like really pull out from what you said.
Great.
And come back to that. And it is, there's so many different kinds of artists. And there's so many different kinds of people. And there's so many different kinds of art and personality types that I think it's a very dangerous place to live as a tattoo artist. That is, I think what I want to say is a small-minded tattooer might get really triggered by these concepts and ideas because they feel that that's going to take away business from them, clients from them. So what I've felt and heard and gotten is a lot of pushback on these topics that I teach because other people feel judgmental about it because they have these fears that they won't get what they need because I'm taking away from the industry, or I'm sharing this information with people that are going to do something totally different with it, you know?
Interesting.
And I think that could be a whole like hour at least long combo about it, because I've had an apprentice that she was going through my apprenticeship, the new model of it, and was doing really well. And she was working at a cafe while going through her apprenticeship, and this other person that worked at the cafe was going through a more traditional tattoo apprenticeship and started to judge her, my apprentice, really hard for the type of learning she was going through.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I kept telling her, like, you know, this is, you chose this path because it was going to suit your needs and your vision and your goals, and that this was a very, very different type of apprenticeship learning experience, And what I sensed was that other girl who had no end in sight for her apprenticeship and was struggling so much in it was jealous of her and or felt that the way to make her feel better about herself was to put my apprentice down. You know what I mean? So I think that there's like a lot of like sticky things that are happening like in the tattoo industry around these like protection of like gatekeeping and keeping this information sacred and keeping like all this stuff. So I think I'm curious what you all think, and put it in the comments below. Let's keep it kind, and have a conversation about these things.
That's really interesting. And I think, I want to circle back to that, but do you want to break down a little bit what our program looks like? Like, let's break that down a little bit so that we can give some context to what we're talking about, and then maybe circle back to that, because I think that's a really interesting, the whole idea around we're taking away from that, I think is, I don't think is what we're doing. But let's break down what our program is first, so that there's some context to what we're talking about.
Yeah, cool. So I guess I'll speak to like how I made it. And what I found was that I was teaching and I was repeating myself so many times about the same stuff over and over again. Although I noticed that different times I said it to different people, that I would say things in slightly different ways to help them learn. Well, Luis and I spent 2 years, 3 years recording all of those conversations and all of the in-studio days that a traditional apprenticeship, like I need to be in studio almost 5 days a week with someone. And so Luis was there filming every conversation, everything. And we put it into a platform where an apprentice can go through step by step, watch replay, hear these things over and over again, and really understand the concepts, make notes, practice along with me
at home.
So the cool thing is that I have an apprentice in Chicago. We're in California. I had an apprentice in France. I'm in California. And we utilized technology to make this a more efficient and supportive learning environment. So you could go at your own pace. You can learn the fundamentals, even if you're a mom who's got kids and can only watch one video for 30 minutes before you go to sleep. You can still learn to be a tattooer. You know? Like it really, really doesn't have to be this like, I mean, okay, well look, if you really break it down, you have to, if you want to go through a traditional apprenticeship, you've got to be supported by someone. Or you've got to have saved up $100,000 or however much money you live off of in a year, at least, and live off that for a year while you're working for free. And how are you going to support yourself? This is why I burnt out. And so many people do. Because it's like a highly privileged thing to learn. So what if we didn't go to college and spend $100,000 and room and board and all this stuff, but you spent like under 20 to get everything you needed on your own time, in your own way, and you could do it from the comfort of your home, and then come in when you were ready to the studio and work your face off, working on clients, tattooing real skin in your style, and get a portfolio when you're done with that, that you feel proud of, that you can go home with and go work. Go work.
And I think that's what's great is like, so our program is like this kind of two-parter where you have this online course that you can learn conceptually all the information, watch all these videos, and do on your own time at home, like you said. And then when you're ready and you've done that, then you come in for the in-person portion of it, which is more of an intensive, where you're tattooing with you and you're tattooing people and having that in-person hands-on training portion as well. So we have this kind of two-part thing, which is great. And I think, and just going back to what we were talking about then is this idea that that model is taking away, which I don't think is the case. You know, I think, again, what we're doing is expanding the reach. I think people who can and want to do a traditional apprenticeship model should go and do the traditional apprenticeship model. I don't think the demand for traditional American tattooing is going anywhere, right? Exactly. I think people who want that are gonna go get that and go to a tattoo shop that offers that. That's not going anywhere. I think the thing that we are doing is expanding the reach of tattooing, which I think ultimately helps the tattooing industry, right? We are now bringing in people who can't do the traditional apprenticeship model, who can't save up that much money, who can't commit that amount of time every week to doing all of that and being in the shop, right? We're just expanding the people who can tattoo, and then in turn expanding the clientele and making this more accessible for artists to tattoo, and making it more accessible for clients who are looking for different kinds of tattooing. And I think that's where that misconception is that these two kind of branches of tattooing, the traditional model and what we're kind of doing in the more fine art world, they're not taking away from each other at all. I think they work in tandem, and I think they help each other, honestly. Like we were saying, like we couldn't exist without the traditional way of doing things that has existed for so long. Exactly. We're simply offering an alternative to it, which I think is an important piece, and a piece that has been missing for a really long time. I think also just the comfort of not only fine artists, but, you know, traditionally tattooing is a very male dominated field. And so a lot of men get into it. And I think that can also be an uncomfortable experience sometimes for the client, you know? So there are more options out there now that we are offering, is the thing that I think we are doing.
And the demand for tattooing is growing and growing.
Is growing and growing and growing. For all the different styles, yeah, you know?
So cool.
Yeah.
There is more than enough.
Yes. There's more than enough to go around.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we need more artists.
Yes.
In the world.
Yeah.
So before, like there were only this many artists, right? And there was only this much demand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Now, and then all those people would go to those artists and they would be booked out, right? And now there's like this much demand.
Yeah.
And there's this much artists.
Yeah.
So it all fits. It's all the same.
Yeah. And I think also the thing too is like when we're talking about like really honing in on your style too, is like, because like my style is very specific to me, your style is very specific to you. Like there's also like, there's no competition there too. Right. You know what I mean? Yes. Like the uniqueness of the art that you and only you can bring is also something that is never going to be out of demand, is never going to be in competition, is never going to be, you know, people are collecting art from multiple artists from around the world. People like go collect and travel to get tattoos and all of that, you know. People who have traditional tattoos are expanding to get like more like fine art tattoos, and people who are getting fine art tattoos will, you know, go in that direction too. And so it's just this whole thing that like is never, there's enough to go around, like you said.
Definitely. Yeah. It's such a cool time to be a tattoo artist. And I also think this could be a really good topic for another video. So
stay tuned.
Stay tuned on this one. But like one of our new apprentices asked me this question, and I think it's a really good one. What do you think about, there's a lot of talk out there around like the economy taking away from the tattoo industry, like artists not making enough money, like what's going on with that? And I think that we should talk about that. Maybe not right now, but I'd love to know what other people think. But I have a lot of ideas and opinions about that too, and why that's happening. And I think that's an important thing to consider and talk about if you're considering tattooing. And how to also not let these like don't let the news
yeah
like contaminate your brain and your creativity.
yeah
I'll just leave you with that.
yeah great
Because I think
little
that
teaser for
yeah,
I think that's
it's really
a
important
big conversation. Yeah, a big topic to dive into.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, let us know if you guys have any questions or comments. I think I'd be really curious to hear what other people think about it. And I think also people who are maybe not super in the tattoo world and have not had a lot of experience in the tattoo world from either side, the client side and or the like wanting to learn how to tattoo, like what your preconceptions were of how do you learn how to tattoo and all of that. And if this is appealing, or if you would go the more traditional route, which is cool, great, go do that if that appeals to you. But yeah, I'd be curious to think or to know where people are coming from.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching.
Thanks.